The space station called Argus 9 floated in the black sea of space, glowing like a lonely lantern. Inside, thousands of beings from different worlds walked its metal halls, trading goods, sharing stories, and sometimes committing crimes. Detective Ryan Cole sat in his small, messy office. The dim light above flickered every few seconds, making the room feel more like an interrogation cell than a workplace. In his hands was a holophoto of a glowing blue data crystal. The thing had been stolen 2 nights ago from the station's central vault. That crystal contained military codes worth billions. Whoever had it could sell it to pirates or enemy worlds. Ryan had no leads. The thief had moved like a ghost. No fingerprints, no video footage, no witnesses. The pressure was on, and station security was breathing down his neck. Then came the strange idea. He remembered a species called the Nathari alien people, with senses far sharper than any human. Especially their sense of smell, they could track someone through a crowd after only one whiff. It was risky, but Ryan knew no human investigator could find the thief before the crystal was gone forever. That's how he met her. Zira stepped into his office quietly. She was tall, the skin the color of pale gold and long black hair tied in a braid. Her eyes were sharp and bright. Scanning everything in the room without moving her head, she wore a simple leather coat and boots that looked worn from long travel, but the most unusual thing about her was the way she breathed. Slow, deep, like she was tasting the air. "You're the human detective," she said in a calm voice. Ryan nodded. "And you're the Nathari tracker." She gave a faint smile. "I smell your doubt." That made Ryan sit up straighter. He wasn't sure if she was joking or not. Zero walked to his desk and picked up the holophoto of the crystal. She didn't even look at it. Instead, she leaned closer and sniffed the air. "This was in a vault 3 levels up," she said. "I can still smell the coolant from the security locks." Ryan blinked. "You can smell that from here." She turned to him. "I can smell more than that, Detective. I can smell the person who touched this crystal last." His heart raced. "Can you find them?" Zero tilted her head. "Yes. But you should know something. The scent is strange. It's like they're hiding inside another smell." Ryan frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said slowly, "they know someone like me might be hunting them." Without waiting for him to reply, Zero walked to the door. "We should move now," she added. "Scent fades with time. And this one is already getting thin." They left the office and moved through the busy corridors of Argus 9. Zero walked ahead, her head turning slightly as she caught invisible trails in the air. People glanced at her curiously, but quickly looked away. Ryan stayed close, trying to ignore the feeling that she was following something dangerous. After 20 minutes, they reached a quiet section of the station. The lights here were dimmer, the air colder. The signs on the walls were old and peeling. This was the underdeck, a place where few went unless they had to. Zira stopped. "Here," she whispered. She pointed to a narrow hallway that led to a locked door marked "Maintenance Only." Ryan checked the door, sealed. Zero stepped closer and sniffed again. "The thief passed through here." But she trailed off, her eyes narrowed. "There's another scent here. Fresh, it's different. Nervous and bleeding." Ryan felt a chill. A witness. Zira didn't answer. She placed her ear against the door. For a moment, there was silence. Then came a faint sound, the quick, shaky breath of someone hiding. Ryan unlocked the door with his override code. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a small storage room filled with broken tools and crates. In the far corner, an alien male sat against the wall, clutching his side where dark blood seeped through his shirt. Ryan hurried forward. "You need medical." The alien raised a trembling hand. His voice was weak, almost a whisper. "No. Listen, they'll hear." "Who?" Ryan asked. The alien's eyes darted toward the shadows. "The one you're chasing?" They know you, and they know the girl. Zira froze. Her nose twitched slightly. She turned her head, scanning the air like a predator. The alien's voice dropped even lower. It's a trap. Suddenly, somewhere behind them, a soft metallic click echoed in the dark hallway. Ryan's hand went to his weapon. Zira's eyes locked with his, and she whispered one word, "Move." Ryan didn't waste a second. He grabbed the wounded alien under the arms and pulled him deeper into the storage room while Zira spun toward the hallway. Her movements were fast but quiet, like she had done this 100 times before. Ryan could hear it now, soft steps coming closer, too light to be a human's, too steady to be nervous. Whoever was out there wasn't in a hurry. They knew exactly where their prey was. The alien witness was trembling, his breathing ragged. Ryan crouched next to him. "Who shot you?" he whispered. The alien shook his head, eyes wide. "Not shot. Cut, blade. With poison." His words were weak, his hands cold. Zira's eyes flicked toward them briefly. "We have to move now," she said. Ryan peered around the doorframe. The hallway was empty, but that only made it worse. Zira stepped past him, her nose twitching. "The scent is here," she murmured. "Close, very close." She started forward slowly. Ryan helped the wounded alien stand, but before they could take 2 steps, the sound of metal scraping against metal came from the far end of the corridor. The lights above flickered. For a moment, Ryan thought he saw a shadow detach from the wall and slide along the floor. Zira stopped, tilting her head slightly. Then she pointed to a side door. "Through there," she said. They slipped inside, sealing it behind them. The room was dark. With only a faint glow from a cracked panel on the wall, it smelled of oil and dust. Zira crouched low, inhaling. Her brow furrowed. "The trail splits," she said. Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" She pointed to the left. "One path. Smells of burnt metal, like someone used a heat charge recently." Then she pointed to the right. "The other smells of fear." And blood. Ryan's first instinct was to follow the fear. Someone scared might have answers. Zira hesitated. That fear belongs to a female. Young. She's alive, but barely. If we go there, the thief might circle behind us. Ryan's jaw tightened. If she's alive, we can't just leave her. Zira gave him a long look, then nodded. They moved down the fear-scented path. The corridor narrowed, pipes lining the walls. Ryan could feel the temperature drop. Somewhere ahead, a faint drip echoed. Zira raised her hand suddenly. Stopping him, she sniffed the air, her face going. "Still, we're close," she whispered. They turned a corner and found a small maintenance alcove. A young alien woman was slumped against the wall, her clothes torn, one arm badly burned. She flinched when Ryan knelt in front of her. "It's okay," he said softly. "We're here to help." She shook her head weakly. "No. Not safe. They're coming." Her eyes darted past Ryan. Zira's head snapped up. She sniffed once. Sharply. "Too late," she said. The sound of footsteps filled the corridor again. Heavier now, faster. Ryan pulled his weapon. Zira stepped in front of him, her coat falling, open to reveal 2 curved blades strapped to her sides. The air felt thick, charged. A shadow moved into view, tall, wrapped in dark armor, face hidden by a mask. The figure stopped just outside the alcove, tilting its head as if studying them. "You have something of mine," the masked figure said, voice calm but cold. Ryan tightened his grip on his gun. "The crystal." The figure chuckled. "No." "The tracker." Zira's jaw tightened. Her hands curled slightly. "You'll have to kill me first," she said. The masked figure tilted its head again. "That can be arranged." Before Ryan could fire, the figure moved impossibly fast. Zira met the attack head-on, blades flashing in the dim light. Sparks flew as metal struck metal. Ryan pulled the young alien woman back into the alcove. Keeping her behind him, the fight was a blur of motion. Zira's style was fluid, every movement precise. But the masked figure was strong, forcing her. Back then, without warning, the figure stepped away, as if deciding the fight wasn't worth it. "This is not the time," the voice said, "but it will be soon." And then the masked figure turned and vanished into the darkness. Leaving only the faint smell of ozone in the air, Zira lowered her blades but didn't relax. "They were testing me," she said quietly. "They know I'm on their trail." Ryan looked at her sharply. "Did you get a scent?" She nodded, "Yes." But her eyes flicked toward him. "It's familiar." They got the wounded alien woman to her feet and started back toward the safer parts of the station. Ryan noticed Zira was quieter than before. She kept glancing over her shoulder as if expecting the masked figure to reappear. Finally, he asked, "What is it?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "The scent on that attacker. It's not just familiar, Ryan. I've smelled it before, on someone you know." Ryan felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "Who?" he asked. Zira met his eyes. "I'm not sure yet. But if I'm right, we're not hunting a stranger." Ryan couldn't shake Zira's words. The idea that someone he knew might be connected to this theft gnawed at him back in his office. He closed the blinds and sealed the door. Zira paced slowly, head down like a predator trapped in a cage. Her nostrils flared every few seconds, catching scents only she could read. "I went over the trail again," she said. "The attacker's scent wasn't pure. They were using chemical masks. But I could still catch layers under it." Ryan leaned forward. "Layers?" She nodded. "It's like a painting with too many colors. One layer smells like synthetic leather, another like recycled air from the upper decks, but the deepest layer." She stopped pacing and looked at him. "I smelled it on you." Ryan froze. "On me?" Zira tilted her head slightly. "Not just you. Your jacket, the one you wore last week, the scent is faint, but it's there." A bitter thought crossed his mind. "You think I'm the thief?" She didn't answer directly. "I think someone wants it to look that way." He stood and grabbed his coat. "Then let's prove them wrong." They returned to the maintenance corridors where the attacker had appeared. Zira followed, invisible. Trails like threads in the air. Sometimes she stopped so suddenly that Ryan almost walked into her. Every time, she would tilt her head or close her eyes, listening to her nose as if it was whispering secrets. After half an hour, the trail led them to an unused docking bay. The place smelled of dust, cold metal, and something sharper, attempts of melted circuitry. Several crates were stacked against the walls, old and half open. Inside were strange devices, scent neutralizers, tracking blockers, and even vials of concentrated chemical smells. Zira crouched, picking up one of the vials. "This is how they confuse trackers like me," she said. "They spray these in different places so the real trail gets buried under fake ones." She opened another crate and froze. Inside was a small silver case. She lifted it carefully, sniffing it. Her eyes narrowed. This smells like the crystal." Ryan stepped closer. "Is it inside?" She shook her head. "Empty." But then she pointed to the inside of the case. "Look." There was a faint smear of something dark red. Zira touched it with a gloved finger and brought it to her nose. "Blood. But not normal. It's laced with bio-nanites." Ryan frowned. "Military tech." She nodded slowly. "Whoever we're chasing isn't just a thief. They have access to restricted tech." Before they could say more, a soft hum filled the air. The lights in the docking bay flickered. Zira's head snapped toward the ceiling. "Someone's powering up a cloaking device," she said sharply. Ryan's instincts kicked in. He drew his weapon, scanning the shadows. Then a voice echoed through the bay, low and distorted. "You should have stayed away, Detective." Ryan's heart pounded. "Show yourself." The voice chuckled. "Oh, I will. But not today. A small flash lit up the far corner, and a drone zipped into the air. It wasn't armed. It was carrying something. Ryan's eyes widened. The drone was holding the stolen crystal. For a moment, it hovered in plain sight, then zipped through an opening in the far wall. Zira. Ryan shouted. She was already moving, sprinting after it with inhuman speed. Ryan ran too, but she was faster, weaving between crates. The drone darted through a narrow passage, forcing them into a tight chase through twisting service tunnels. At one turn, Zero skidded to a stop. "Wait," she hissed. Ryan almost crashed into her. What then? He saw it. The floor ahead was covered in a thin, shimmering layer. "Electroweb," Zero whispered. "Step on it, and you're cooked." The drone zipped over the trap easily, disappearing into the dark. Ryan's jaw tightened. "We're losing it." Zero didn't move. Instead, she turned and sniffed. Her eyes lit up. It dropped something. She reached down and picked up a torn scrap of fabric. The scent hit her instantly. Her face changed, a flicker of recognition passing through her. "This isn't just anyone," she said quietly. "This is someone who's been in your office. Someone who's touched your desk. Someone you've shaken hands with." Ryan's stomach dropped. "Give me a name." Zira met his gaze. "Lieutenant Hale." The name hit him like a punch. Hale was one of the most trusted officers in station security, a man Ryan had worked with for years. If Hale was involved, it meant the betrayal ran deep. Ryan's voice was tight. "If you're wrong, Zero, cut him off. I'm not wrong. His scent is mixed with the crystals. And with the blood in that case, he's the link." They headed back toward the main levels. But Ryan couldn't stop thinking about what this meant. Hale had access to everything: security codes, patrol schedules, even Ryan's own investigation files. If he was the one behind the theft, it meant Ryan had been one step behind from the very start. Zero walked beside him, silent, her eyes scanning every face they passed. Ryan finally asked, "What's our next move?" She glanced at him. "We don't confront him yet. Not until we know who he's working for. And believe me, detective." Her eyes narrowed. "I can already smell there's someone bigger pulling his strings." Ryan didn't sleep that night. The knowledge that Lieutenant Hale, a man he had trusted for years, might be tied to the stolen crystal kept him awake. His mind kept circling back to the scent evidence, to Zira's certainty. And if she was right, then the danger wasn't just from Hale. It was from whoever was backing him. By morning, things got worse. He arrived at his office to find security officers waiting. One of them handed him a datapad by order of station command. "You are suspended from the investigation." Ryan's voice was sharp. "On what grounds?" The officer avoided his eyes. "Evidence has been found linking you to the crime. Multiple witnesses claim you were seen near the vault on the night of the theft." Ryan's stomach turned. "That's a lie." The officer only shrugged. "Maybe. But the command thinks otherwise." They took his badge, his weapon, and left without another word. Zero stepped out from the corner of the hallway. "Having heard everything, they're framing you faster than I thought," she said quietly. Ryan rubbed a hand over his face. "They're planting evidence." She nodded. "And it's working." They went to a small diner on the lower decks, a place where Zira said the air smelled too strong of fried oil for most trackers to work well. It was safe for talking. Ryan sat in the booth while Zira sipped from a steaming cup, her eyes fixed on the entrance. "If Hale's smart, he's not holding the crystal anymore," she said. "Someone else has it, and he's just the delivery man." Ryan leaned in. "Then we find the delivery point." Zira reached into her coat and pulled out the scrap of fabric from the previous night. "This scent isn't fading yet. That means he's still wearing whatever this came from." Ryan frowned. "You can track him even in this mess." She smiled faintly. Mess is only a problem for humans. They left the diner and began moving through the crowded main concourse. Zira's pace was unhurried but purposeful. She would stop suddenly, sniff the air, adjust their direction. Ryan followed without question. After 20 minutes, they ended up near one of the high-security docking bays, the kind reserved for government and military ships. Zira slowed. "He's close," she whispered. Ryan scanned the area, spotting Hale at the far end of the bay, talking to a tall figure in a dark coat. The figure's back was to them, and Ryan couldn't see their face. Zira's eyes narrowed. That coat smells of the same chemical mask as the attacker in the maintenance corridors. Before they could get closer, Hale handed the figure a small black case. The figure took it, glanced around once, then started walking toward a small shuttle. Zira moved to follow, but Ryan grabbed her arm. "If we chase them now, we'll be caught. I'm still suspended, remember?" Zira's nostrils flared, her voice tight. "You don't understand. That's not just the thief's scent anymore. It's mixed with something new. Something dangerous." Ryan's pulse quickened. "What?" She met his gaze. Explosives. The shuttle's engines powered up, and Ryan's mind raced. If they didn't stop it, whatever was inside that case could kill hundreds. But before they could decide what to do, a loud alarm blared through the docking bay. Security officers poured in from both entrances. Their weapons weren't aimed at Hale or the mysterious figure. They were aimed at Ryan. "Detective Cole, you are under arrest," the lead officer barked. Ryan took a step back. For what this time? The officer's face was grim. "Possession of stolen military property. Witnesses place you in this bay moments ago." Near the stolen crystal, Ryan turned to Zira, but she was already moving. She slipped behind a stack of cargo crates, blending into the chaos. He raised his hand slowly, letting the officers cuff him as they led him away. He caught a glimpse of Zira climbing into the shadows above the bay, her eyes locked on the departing shuttle. Hours later, Ryan sat in a holding cell. The air smelled of disinfectant and cold metal. He leaned against the wall, trying to push away the thought that maybe he'd never clear his name. Then the lights flickered once, twice, and went out for 2 seconds before returning a moment later. Zira was standing on the other side of the cell bars, holding a stolen security pass. "Get up," she said quietly. Ryan stared at her. "How did you?" She cut him off. "No time, the shuttle's gone. But I know where it's going, and if I'm right, we're already late." She opened the cell, and they slipped out, moving quickly through the empty corridors. "Where is it headed?" Ryan asked. Zira's eyes were focused straight ahead. "To a black market rendezvous in the outer docks. If it delivers both the crystal and the explosives, it won't just be a sale. It'll be an attack." Ryan's jaw tightened. "And Hale." Zira's voice dropped, still covering their tracks. "But I can smell the fear on him now. He knows I'm onto him." As they boarded a stolen maintenance cart to get to the outer docks faster, Ryan looked at her. "Why are you helping?" "Me. You could just walk away." Zira glanced at him, her eyes cold but steady. "Because I can smell something else, too, Detective. This isn't just about the crystal. It's about a war someone's trying to start, and they want you as the first casualty. The outer docks of Argus 9 felt like a different world. The polished floors and bright lights of the main station were gone, replaced by rusted metal walkways, leaking pipes, and the constant hum of old generators. This was where ships no one asked questions about came and went. Zira's steps were silent, her head low, her nose catching invisible threads in the air. Ryan followed a step behind, trying to keep his eyes on everything at once. "The scent is sharper here," she whispered. "No more chemical masking, whoever we're after is close, and they're not hiding anymore." Ryan's voice was low. "Why drop the disguise now?" Zira didn't look at him. Predators stop hiding when they're ready to strike. They passed a group of dock workers unloading crates. The air thick with the smell of fuel and seaweed from some alien cargo. Zero ignored it all, focused on the faint metallic tanks she'd been following since they left the holding cell. It led them to Dock 47, a loading bay with its gate half open. Inside, the air was colder, carrying the heavy smell of explosives, fuel, and something else. A faint musk, almost animal. Zero froze, her body tensing. Ryan noticed, "You know this smell?" She nodded slowly. "I grew up with it." The shadows inside shifted, and a figure stepped into the dim light. He was tall, broad-shouldered. His skin the same pale gold as Zaris. His hair was shorter, his face sharper, but his eyes, those, were identical to hers. "Rinner," Zero said, her voice almost a whisper. Ryan's eyes darted between them. "You know him?" She didn't look away from the man. "He's my brother. Or at least, he used to be." Reiner smiled faintly. "Still following your nose into trouble, little sister." His voice was smooth, but underneath, there was a strange coldness. "And still working for humans?" Ryan's grip on his sidearm tightened. "You're the one with the crystal." Renner shrugged. "For now, yes. But soon, it will be far from here. And the people paying for it will make sure the human colonies never recover." Zero took a step forward. "You're working with Hale." Renner didn't deny it. "Hale is just one piece of the chain. This goes far above him, far above me." Ryan's voice was sharp. "Then tell me who's pulling the strings." Renner laughed softly. "You think I'd tell you?" "No, detective, you're just the bait, and now you've brought the tracker right to me." Before Ryan could react, movement came from the shadows, half a dozen armed figures in dark armor. Their faces hidden, they fanned out, surrounding the three of them. Renner's smile didn't fade. "You're both going to stay here until the shuttle is long gone. After that, well, maybe I'll let you live." Zero's eyes flicked to Ryan, and in that instant, he understood she had a plan. She breathed in deeply, so deeply that Ryan almost felt the air shift. Then she exhaled slowly, her expression changing. "You forgot something, Rinna," she said. "When predators stop hiding, that's when they're easiest to hunt." She moved before anyone could react, ducking low and sweeping one attacker's legs out from under him. Ryan fired his weapon at another, the shot echoing in the cold metal room. The fight was brutal and fast. Zero moved like liquid shadow, twisting and striking with surgical precision. Ryan kept close, making sure none of the armored figures got behind them. Renner didn't join the fight. He simply stepped back, watching, his eyes never leaving Zero. When the last armored figure fell unconscious, he spoke again. "You've gotten better." Zero stood, breathing hard, her blades dripping with someone else's blood. "You've gotten worse," she said flatly. He tilted his head. "I don't want to kill you, sister. Walk away. Let me finish this. And I promise I'll keep the humans you care about out of it." Zero took one step closer. "I can't walk away. Not when I can smell the truth on you." Ryan glanced at her. "What truth?" Her voice was low, steady. "He's not just delivering the crystal and the explosives. He's delivering coordinates. Coordinates to every major human supply route in this sector." Ryan's stomach twisted. "That's war." Reiner's expression hardened. "War is already coming. The humans just don't know it yet." He turned toward the half-open gate. Clearly about to leave, Zero didn't move to stop him. Not yet. Her eyes followed him like a hawk, her hands still on her blades. "Next time we meet," she said quietly, "it won't end with words." Renner's smile returned for a brief second before he stepped through the gate, disappearing into the dock beyond. The moment he was gone, Zero let out a long breath. "He's too well protected here, but I know where he's going next." Ryan's voice was tense. "Then we go there before him." She shook her head. "Not yet. If we rush, we'll be walking into another trap. We need to turn the scent hunt against him." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Zira's eyes narrowed. "He thinks I'm following him. But what he doesn't know is, I've already marked him." Ryan didn't understand at first. They had just watched Renner vanish into the shadows of Dock 47. The sound of the bay doors shutting behind him, the idea of letting him go, made Ryan's blood boil. But Zira wasn't. Chasing him, she was standing still, her breathing slow and controlled. "What do you mean you marked him?" Ryan asked. "Zira finally looked at him when we fought those armored men. I brushed past him, left a trace of my own scent on his coat. No one else will notice, but I will smell it from half a station away. Wherever he goes, I'll know Ryan's." Eyes widened. "So you're turning his own game on him?" Zira gave a faint smile. "Exactly." They slipped out of Dock 47 before reinforcements arrived. Moving into the winding maintenance corridors, Ryan kept glancing over his shoulder. Half expecting Hale to appear with another squad of security officers, Zira, however, didn't seem rushed. She stopped occasionally, sniffing the air, tracking not just Reiner's trail, but also the faint scent of others, guards, workers, and strangers who might be connected. An hour later, they reached an abandoned observation deck on the outer rim of Argus 9. It was cold here. The glass panels cracked in places, the view of deep space broken by long black fractures. Zira crouched near the far wall and began pulling small devices. From her coat, Ryan recognized some mini-scent amplifiers, the kind Netheri trackers used to boost faint trails. "What are we doing here?" he asked. "We're laying a false trail," she said. "Reiner thinks I'll be behind him, so we'll make him think he's losing me while I get ahead." She began setting the devices in a circle, each one releasing a faint chemical odor. It was a confusing mix, traces of human sweat, engine grease, alien spice, and something sharp like burned stone. Ryan watched, impressed. "You're making him smell the wrong hunt." Zero nodded. "By the time he realizes, we'll be in position to intercept him." While she worked, Ryan's thoughts drifted to Hale. If Renner was his contact, then Hale was probably already covering his tracks. "Do you think Hale will warn him?" Ryan asked. Zira paused, then shook her head. "No, Hale's too scared now. I could smell it earlier. He'll keep his head down until this is over." She finished setting the last device, then stood. "We need to move fast. His real destination isn't the black market anymore." Ryan frowned. "Then where?" Zira's eyes were sharp. "A cargo freighter bound for the outer colonies. He'll use it to slip past station patrols. Once he's out there, we may never find him again." They left the observation deck and made their way toward the freight docks. The lower corridors were even more dangerous at this hour, dim lights casting long shadows. A constant rumble of engines vibrating through the walls. Twice, they had to hide from groups of rough-looking dock hands, Zero keeping perfectly still, her breathing silent. Finally, they reached Dock 12. The massive freighter loomed before them, its hull scarred and patched with mismatched metal plates. Cargo loaders moved like giant insects, carrying crates into its open bays. The air was thick with the smell of ozone, oil, and something faint but unmistakable, Renner's marked scent. Zira smiled faintly. "He's here." Ryan scanned the crowd of workers and passengers, but there was no sign of him. "I don't see." "Don't look for him," Zira interrupted. "Look for who he's meeting." It took only a moment for Ryan to notice the man standing near the loading ramp, wearing a long gray coat. His face was hidden under a hood, but his stance was military. Precise. Zero inhaled deeply, her expression changing. "That's not Reiner's buyer. That's his handler." Ryan's heart pounded. "The one pulling the strings." Zero nodded slowly. "And he smells wrong. His scent has traces of so many places, so many people. It's like he's been everywhere, yet nowhere." That's not normal. Before they could approach, Renner appeared from a side hatch. The black case in his hands, he walked straight to the hooded man. They exchanged a few words Ryan couldn't hear. Then the hooded man turned toward the freighters. "Bay, this is it," Zira said. "Once they're aboard, we lose them." Ryan glanced around. "Then we have to stop them here." Zira's hand went to her blades, but she didn't move yet. Her eyes stayed locked on Renner. "Not yet. We need the handler alive. If he dies, we lose the chain." Then something unexpected happened. Renner hesitated. His head turned slightly, and for a moment, Ryan swore his eyes met Zira's across the dock. She froze. The hooded man said something sharp, and Renner handed him the case. The handler stepped onto the loading ramp, but as he did, Zira's voice was low and urgent. "We're not ready for what's about to happen." Ryan's stomach tightened. "Why?" Her eyes narrowed. "Because I can smell it on him. He's not carrying the crystal anymore." Ryan's pulse jumped. If the hooded handler didn't have the crystal, then all of this, the chase, the fake trails, the danger, had been a misdirection. He looked at Zira, but she was already moving, weaving through the crowd like smoke. "Where is it?" Ryan whispered into his comm. Zira's voice came back, low and tense. "Renner still has it. He's been pretending to hand it over, but the case is empty. The real crystal is somewhere else on this dock." Ryan's eyes swept the area. Cargo. Loaders hissed and clanked. Workers shouted over the noise. It was chaos. The perfect cover. Then he saw Hale, slipping out from behind a stack of containers, a small sealed tube in his hands. "Hale," Ryan muttered. His whole body wanted to run straight for him, but Zira's voice cut through his anger. "Don't break cover. If he sees you, he'll drop it or destroy it." Hale moved fast toward a side passage that led to a small courier ship. Ryan circled wide, using the crowds to hide his approach. Zira didn't follow Hale. Instead, she stayed on Renner, shadowing him as he boarded the freighter with the hooded man. Ryan closed the gap on Hale, his footsteps silent. He reached for his weapon, but Hal turned suddenly, eyes locking with his. "You're supposed to be rotting in a cell." Hal spat. Ryan didn't answer. He lunged, grabbing Hal's wrist. The two men slammed against a cargo crate. The tube clattering to the floor. Hale snarled, trying to break free. "You have no idea who you're fighting against, Cole. You think this is about one crystal? This is about burning your whole species out of the stars." Ryan drove a knee into Hale's side, knocking the air out of him. "Not today," he said. He reached for the tube, but Hale twisted, shoving Ryan back. The tube rolled toward the edge of the dock. One more bounce, and it would drop into the black void between the freighter and the dock floor. Zira's voice exploded in his ear. "Ryan, now." He dove, catching the tube just before it slid into space. Hale tried to rush him, but a blur of gold intercepted him. "Zira." She moved like lightning, slamming Hale against the crate. Her blade hovered at his throat. "Don't make me choose the messy way," she said coldly. Ryan stood, the tube secure in his hands. "It's here, it's safe." Zira's eyes flicked to the freighter. "Not for long. The freighter's engines are powering up. If Renner leaves with the handler, they'll vanish into deep space. We'll never know who else is involved." Ryan looked at the tube, then at her. "We can't lose both. Which one matters more?" Zira's jaw tightened. "The crystal can be hidden." Again, but the handler. "He's the key to the whole network." The decision was made in a heartbeat. Ryan tossed the tube to her. "Hide it. I'll get the handler." She caught it easily, tucking it inside her coat. "You won't make it in time," she warned. Ryan was already moving, sprinting toward the freighter's loading ramp. The crowd blurred around him, his focus locked on the hooded man now halfway up the ramp. A shout went up. Security officers were flooding into the dock. Weapons were drawn. Orders were yelled. Ryan ignored them. He slammed into the ramp just as it began to rise. Grabbing the edge and hauling himself up, the hooded man turned, a small blaster in his hand. Ryan ducked the shot, tackling him. They hit the deck hard, the blaster skidding away. The hood slipped back, revealing a face Ryan didn't recognize, but one that was unnervingly calm. The handler smiled faintly. Too late, detective. Zira's voice was in his ear, sharp and urgent. Ryan, get off that ship now. He didn't question her. He scrambled to his feet, dragging the handler with him. The ramp was almost closed, but he leaped, hitting the dock floor and rolling. Hard, the handler hit beside him with a thud. A second later, the freighter's engines roared, and then the ship exploded. The blast lit up the entire dock, shockwaves rattling the metal walkways. Fire and debris rained down. The crowd screamed, scattering in all directions. Ryan pulled the handler to his feet. Stunned, they blew their own ship. Zero emerged from the smoke, her eyes scanning the chaos. No. Someone else did. Someone higher than Renner. Someone cleaning up loose ends. Hale was gone, slipped away in the confusion. Renner too, but Zero didn't look defeated. She held up the sealed tube, still intact. We may have lost them, but we kept this. Ryan nodded. And the handler. Zero looked at the man coldly. He'll talk. They all do eventually. As station security closed in, Ryan knew this wasn't over. The crystal was safe for now, but the war Renner hinted at was still coming. Zira stepped closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. I can smell it, detective. The real hunt hasn't even started.